I got to see the good and the bad and the ugly of the car business. And the biggest ugly was no training.
Mhm.
Either you have it or you don't. And I thought, what if plumbers or electricians were that way? You're a
Yeah.
good person, show up and work hard. Hmm.
Figure it out.
So,
Don't electrocute
yeah,
yourself, right? Welcome to The Transfer, where we get to pick the brains of leaders who are driving change and transformation in their industry. And today we're continuing our focus on automotive with a true veteran and thought leader in automotive sales, David Lowe. Now, he's known in most circles as the automotive sales coach, and David has a deep background from sales to dealership management. And I'm so excited for your perspective that you're going to bring today. David, thank you so much for being here. So, David, your journey in the automotive industry, I know, has been quite extensive, just a long, storied career. Can you give us a little bit of background on your journey and career path and kind of what led you into the coaching side of things ultimately?
so I started selling cars at 20. At 23, I started running my first dealership in Wisconsin. In my 30s, I trained across the country for Ford, a company called the HAC Group. And that was really enlightening. I got to see the good and the bad and the ugly of the car business. And the biggest ugly was no training.
Mhm.
Either you have it or you don't. And I thought, what if plumbers or electricians were that way? You're a
Yeah.
good person, show up and work hard. Hmm.
Figure it out.
So,
Don't
yeah,
electrocute yourself, right?
that's right. And so it's quite funny that everybody says it's a professional career when they hire people and they treat it like anybody can do it. And of course, you work hard and you're a nice person, you will sell some cars, you will make money, but there's more to it than that. So I would move to Indianapolis and I ran a dealership here. I created a manual and I used that at the dealership and we had such great success. In fact, we were one of only 5 dealerships in the United States to win Volkswagen's Diamond Pin Award for market share, profitability, customer satisfaction, all the things, the 5 keys that matter, right? I
Mhm.
used that to catapult and start my own training company in 2000. So today we serve over 120 rooftops and we're growing and we're about to take the next step. We're moving our platform to light speed and take it across the country.
So tell me a little bit about the philosophy, because when we last spoke, I thought you had some really interesting takes on accountability and some of that human side of things. I'd love to hear kind of the core philosophies of this coaching business.
Well, you know what? We pattern our coaching. I studied over the last 30 years what great leaders do. Vince Lombardi, John Wooden, Abraham Lincoln, Ben Franklin, some of the people that I study. And you find out that nothing great ever just happens. And dealerships like that buy training, but they don't know how to really put a program in place. They
Mhm.
think that saying one thing in a sales meeting changes behavior, and it doesn't. Policy doesn't change behavior. Thought change does. So we really believe that setting up a manager-led culture of training is critical to drive differences in the dealership. And it starts with the leadership, the managers, the pace of the leaders, the pace of the pack, right?
Yep, makes total sense.
And things are changing in the car business. I know we're going to talk about that. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the car business aren't changing with it. And they're still using the crusty old pressure techniques and kind of ridiculous. So what we want to bring into the business is the old principles of selling aren't going to change. Relationship and trust, value, desire, commitment, win-win agreements, customers for life that come back and send people. Never going to change. The principles don't change, the
Mhm.
natural laws, but the techniques have to change. Dealerships are turning themselves into Blockbuster by not changing. CarMax and Carvana might be the Netflix of the car business, and dealerships are slow to get the thing that they've got to start being better if they want better results in what's coming up. And so our philosophy is the pace of the leader, pace of the pack. Let's set up a manager-led ongoing training similar to athletic coaches, right? What do? They have a proven playbook. Here's how we're going to win.
Yep.
Here's what you're going to do. Here's why you're going to do it. And here's how you're going to do it. And then we're going to practice it over and over until you can do it.
Gotta
Action
get the
and reaction
reps.
become,
Gotta get the
yeah,
reps in.
no
Sales.
other way to build skill.
Yeah, no.
Action and reaction has to be instinctive, and skill is only built one way through practice. And of course, we teach them how to love their team unconditionally, how to coach, congratulate, and correct, like John Wooden said, without resentment. So we believe if dealerships say, hey, we really want to be better. It's simple, but it's not easy. They have to make a commitment to make training part of their DNA. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Ongoing
yeah.
improvement has to be part of their DNA. The
The con
willingness to be better.
Yeah, continuous learning is key. Do you think a
That's
lot
it.
of dealerships just get that wrong? Like, what do you think are some of the things when it comes to this where you're like, do you see them fall off? Like, what does that look like when you're kinda checking back?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So most managers, today's managers are yesterday's untrained salespeople. Right? Well, they are, and they're great closers. They got better people skills. They have more drive. Nobody's ever trained them how to manage, coach, and lead with excellence. So it really starts there. I wasn't. I ran a dealership from 23 to 30. We sold so many cars, won so many contests, had so much. We had such great results, made so much money. If I know then what I know now, we would have doubled the
Oh,
impact.
wow.
Spending the last 30 years studying the best of the best and the principles that drive excellence in leadership has led us to a point where there's four pillars that lead by example, set clear and high expectation, hold them positively accountable, and love them unconditionally. If we apply those, real change happens. It's transformation. We don't teach memorization, transformation. If you think better, you can act better given 1,000 scenarios. So don't memorize 101 closing quotes.
Ugh.
Become a better consultant, become a better question asker, become a better listener, right? Become a better presenter, and be prepared for the objections, the fear. I don't want to buy the wrong car. I don't want to pay
Mhm.
too much. The fears that every buyer has. Why don't we know they're coming. Let's be prepared. And so we unite teams under one proven playbook using those four principles we discussed and the best, the most comfortable, and the most powerful techniques available to us today, psychology of influence, right? And so that's what we do. Lombardi said, great coaches, great leaders aren't born, they're made. They're made the
Mhm.
same way everything else is made through hard work. Again, nothing great ever just happens. You don't learn how to play an instrument by accident or become a great parent or whatever you want to learn. You've got to make a decision.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of dealerships aren't making they want training to say they need training. It makes sense that they need training, but they're not putting it into their DNA, if that makes sense.
No,
Our
it
job is to help them put it in their DNA.
folded into the every single moment, every single action
You
interaction of
put your pants on every day, you train every day. So
Sure.
those three things, practice, game plan review, and creating the right mindset, we could build that into the daily routine at dealerships. If they do that, like great teams, they'll have great seasons.
No, it makes sense. It's just like strategic planning, right? It prepares you for the battle because as soon as you get into what did Churchill say? As soon as you get into battle, the game plan goes out the window anyways, right?
Is
So
that
you give people the fundamentals so that they can have whatever that conversation, that interaction, solve whatever that problem is. So I love
so
that perspective on it.
you hit on the head. So if you've got a great game plan and everybody knows it and everybody can execute it, when something goes wrong, you don't freak out because it's not about memorization. You've transformed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what results you're able to see and how does productivity increase with these sales teams that really do embrace your kind of management down approach and mindset?
Well, it's beautiful, actually. So I do a lot of these huddles, right, on Google Meet across the Midwest. We're all across the Midwest right now, and we want to move across the country. So I'll meet with dealers as they start the training. How's the training going? What are you seeing? What results? And so one deal is just for an example that we had the owner was involved in it. And so is the general manager and the general sales manager. And they said their first month they sold more cars at their asking price than they've ever sold. In
Oh,
other words, most dealerships discount to drive
yep.
traffic. To close the deal, they discount again. Profit isn't a condition of the market, it's a condition of the sales team, the experience, the customer experience.
It's
And
their
so
go-to.
we'll hear grosses go way up. We really hear this a lot. My team is more energetic and excited about work. So, and they close a higher percentage of leads. People that used to leave without buying are now buying. And we see that across the board. You can't change the market, the economy, the availability of
Mhm.
cars, but you can change the customer experience and your team member experience every day. focus on what you can change.
Yeah,
All right.
that's absolutely. And I'm sure that's why you have 120 plus partners that you're helping, which is
Well,
quite impressive.
which is kind of funny because when I started this, some people would say, well, a lot of sales trainers grew faster. Well, their focus was on selling their training. I got to be honest with you, mine wasn't. It was about creating the best possible training. And we scaled it simply by going door to door for the first 50. And the rest of them are referral. Our focus rate for this last 10 years has been building a program we know, a proven playbook any dealership can use. It is
Perfecting.
now built, yeah, and we're moving it to the state-of-the-art platform, Lightspeed, and now any dealer in the United States, Canada will have access to the thinking tools and training that will definitely change the closing percentage, definitely change the gross profit, make happier customers. We shorten the sales cycle that buyers are screaming for. We show dealers how to sell the car faster without giving up quality, actually adding quality in and moving the sale along faster. So I'd ask these dealers across the country, last time I was here, last quarter, you had 5 new people. What happened to them? They started new jobs. They're excited. They told their friends. They had families. They're counting on it. They're all gone. What happened to them? Well, they didn't make it. I'd say, well, what kind of training you provide? Well, you either have it or you don't. And I'm like, well, that was terrible. What wasted human energy?
Yeah,
I
totally.
believe most people have unlimited God-given potential. Unfortunately, many through their lives have experienced failure. They've had people tell them they're not good enough, whatever. They've kind of been dumbed down.
Mhm.
Our training reignites that flame. We know they have it. It might be sputtering now, but it's there. We just got to turn that flame up, and you can't believe what happens when people feel like I have the ability to change my life. Right?
No,
That's incredible.
it's powerful, and that's why I love your philosophy, making sure people don't forget you get out what you put in, and that's something
Yeah.
in management accountability, as you obviously know all too well, gets lost.
If you want your team to be better, you need to be better. Once somebody has the humility to say, I'm really, really good, but I have to be better,
Mhm.
everything changes.
Yeah.
Ego is the death of excellence. Humility is absolute power. And so we try to instill that in our managers.
All right, so let's shift gears, and you started to touch on this on your own business, and I wanna come back to unpacking that more. But one of the things that I've been just so interested in this kind of moment we're in business in general is all this transformation we're seeing happening with technology, the
Yeah.
flood of AI tools and options that are out there to really change the customer experience, and in dealerships and automotives no different. So I am sure from your kind of the inside perspective you have, I'd love to hear what you've seen dealers doing wrong or right in kind of facilitating that sales journey that could be technology enabled, right? How do we bring in that lead from the website and then it hands over? What are you experiencing in kind of this new world with that integration of technology into the sales process?
Yeah, so there's a lot of great technology today. But
Yep.
the problem is that dealers can use technology, but you still have to manage it.
Yeah.
And it's more than just managing the numbers, right? And
Mhm.
so I feel like technology works if you have a game plan with it.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Why are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? Where are we now? Where do we want to go? How are we going to measure it? And if it's not producing, what do we do to adjust? Sometimes they blindly get on technology and put it in place without that kind of thinking. Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure. They
AI
think
is
it's the
hitting the
end
button.
all be all. It's the, "Oh,
That's
this
it.
is gonna solve the gap we have in our numbers," or, for sure you see that countless times where you're like, "Wow, I don't even know why you bought this or why you invested in this."
AI coming into lead response and service appointments and stuff like great tool. It still needs to be managed. Somebody has to make sure what's supposed to happen is happening. And when the AI ends and human interaction begins, that handoff works. That takes management and leadership. You can't just put an AI tool in and sit back and watch the sales roll in. I had one dealer say to me, big group, and he said, hey, the sales process is dead. Everything's internet now. And they said, oh, I didn't know that. People are going online and pushing your buy now button. Oh, no, they're not doing that. Oh, people are taking your price and not asking for a better price. Well, now they're still trying. People are taking your computerized appraisal and saying, okay, now they still fight for more. So how is the sales process dead?
Yeah, exactly. It's alive and well.
It's alive and well. We need people. Now, our teams need to adjust. So let's talk about technology. Carvana. First, it was CarMax. All the dealers laughed at them, and CarMax stole 500,000 used car sales direct from dealers every year. Doesn't sound like a lot, but out of 20 million retail cars, it's a lot. They laughed at them. They didn't have it right, but they overpaid for cars, and they're outselling the dealerships in their market. Then Carvana came along. They laughed at that. But Carvana is selling a ton of cars. So here's the thing. I don't believe Carvana and CarMax are the answer, but they're using technology to drive performance and tracking it. So what if the dealers would say, let's steal from Carvana and CarMax the good parts of that and make it better. So like we teach when somebody says, I want a number on my trade, we say, rock and roll. I totally help you with that. Let's talk about your trade. And we take a minute to learn about them in a trade. What are you going to replace it with? Why'd you decide to replace it now? And then we offer them. Every dealership I go to has an online appraisal service, and yet they're telling customers you got to come in. Unfortunately, their online appraisals are set to low numbers. Seems ridiculous to me
Yeah.
that the first number they get on their trade is the low book.
Yeah.
They say, we want room to work. Well, you're never going to talk to people when CarMax is not hitting them at low book, when Carvana's not hitting them at low. You follow me?
They're tools. They can investigate. The consumer becomes a lot savvier, right?
Yes.
And they may not wanna buy in a fully digital model, right? That's where there
They
are
don't.
people who are like, I'm all in on that type of approach until they deliver that car to my door.
Yeah,
But it is
that's
a
right.
huge purchase. Your car is probably top 3, one of the most expensive things you're ever gonna buy in your life, right?
Yep.
So, for
Yep.
the average person, and so that going to talk to someone, like you said, feeling good about that, I don't think that'll ever go away. It doesn't mean there won't be, other ways to play like we've seen. But it's gonna make the average consumer going into the dealership, they're coming at it with a whole different level of transparency because of
Yep.
those digital models.
Well, so you just clued into what the salesperson of today and tomorrow needs to be. They have to be able to master virtual communication. They have to be able to build relationship and trust through email, through text, and through conversations on the phone.
Mhm.
They have to demonstrate value. They have to build desire. If you want me to come in and get my car appraised, why should I? It
Yeah.
has to be a benefit to me, the consumer, not this is the way you do things at your dealership.
Yeah, like,
So
why'd
that
you have
that
it on the website then? If you
that's right. That's so bridging that gap is where a lot of dealerships are failing. And I will go back to managers because they're the most experienced, and this is the way we've always done it. And they're missing the boat. We take people through their current numbers, and I prove to them that most dealerships selling 100 cars a month are leaving $1 million a year of gross profit on the table. How do I know? I took over these stores in Indiana when I came. They were profitable already, but we tripled the gross,
Wow,
triple it
that's
from
impressive.
profitable to ultra profitable. It's not rocket science. So VW came in our dealership and said, how did you do this? It feels different in here. How did you get these results after we won Diamond Pin? So I asked him, do most VW dealerships have a written way of doing things, a proven game plan? You know what he said? I don't think so. And I said, do most dealerships have ongoing training to make sure the team knows what to do, why to do it, how to do it, and can do it? He goes, they
Mhm.
definitely don't have that. And I said, do most dealerships have a manager talking to every customer before working on the financial package, what most dealers would call the deal or the numbers? We call the financial package. And he said, they definitely don't have that. And I said, then I don't know why you're asking me. That's like saying a team went 0-16. Why? Do you have a playbook? Well, we just thought we'd get out there and get
We
open.
we're
Just
winging
get
it.
open.
Just
That's right.
winging
We're
it.
winging it.
Just
And,
we come to work and hope they come walking in, and we
yeah.
have the thing they're looking for.
And I'm going to keep doing what I did in 1950, 60, 70, 80. And the principles don't change, but the techniques need to. And for techniques to change, people's thinking has to change. How they think about themselves, how they think about their career, how they think about their dealership, how they think about their products, how they think about their customers, even how they think about money. Well, if we can get dealers to see that, and the ones who see it and take action, they see real results. Some people see it, but don't take action.
You can teach what you can take them to the water, but you can't make
That's
them
it.
drink. There's a
That's
point
it.
where it just comes down to actual application and the doing of it.
It is. Our new site will have AI role training modules on it that salespeople can practice, and they really listen for listening skills, affirmation skills, good question skills, that kind of thing. It really was having that conversation. It's a great tool, but has to really be created right. Just because it's AI doesn't mean it's any good. We
Yes.
put our first AI through the test, and I said everything wrong, and it passed me. Okay, so it took the data from the world instead of from our training.
From
So
your
we've had to
philosophy.
we've
Yep.
had to refine it down. So technology is great, and we're embracing it. However, there has to be, what are we doing and why are we doing it? How are we going to do it? How are we going to measure it? And then how are we going to improve it if we're not getting the results we want? It's just, that's basic.
And that's the
Dealerships aren't
perfecting
doing that.
the sales
That's it.
package itself before you're scaling. So I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about kind of your business. It sounds like you've got so many unique things happening with this new technology. What have been some of the challenges you've experienced? Aside, sounds like getting the model to echo back your philosophy is one of them. What are some of the other things that you're just like, wow, I did not expect this as I'm kind of working to go beyond where I'm at today?
Here's one thing. It's weird. Underperforming dealers signed up for the training and struggle getting it going. And you tell, listen, I'll help you. Let's get on a Zoom. And they won't show up. They won't pick up. They say with their mouth, I want to be better. But somehow they think that buying training
Was enough.
changes the world.
Yeah, that was enough.
Another problem is really getting in touch with people. A lot of times dealerships are now run by management companies that
Mm.
don't have a clue what happens on the showroom floor.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. They want to solve the problems that they've never experienced themselves, or they're so far removed they haven't done. And most of the trainers that train today haven't been in a dealership in 3 decades. Our training facility isn't a live dealership. We don't work for the dealership. We have a training package with this group. The dealer loved us so much, he built us a training center. So when we train their group, we're training it there. And we use that for recording and stuff like
Love
that.
that.
We're with salespeople constantly. What are you facing today? And how can we help you? So I'm amazed a lot of times that the people making decisions at the dealership don't really understand it. I ran that sales floor for 7 years, very effective, made a ton of money, had a ton of success with all these competitions. And now I probably still be there if the dealer had followed through with my buy in. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he reneged on that
You
because
should.
I wouldn't know today what I know. And so many people have been in the same scenario for 20 or 30 years. And what they do is now become who they are.
Yeah. Hard to
So if
unpack.
what they do is wrong, then who they are is wrong. We see that in the world as a whole, but it's not true. You aren't what you do.
And you can
You have
change, then you can adjust what you're doing and do something different, right?
a wise person who's constant. So Ben Franklin, the book The Art of Virtue changed my life 30 years ago in a lot of ways. And he said there's no satisfaction in life without self-approved conduct. I deserve the right to be better today than yesterday.
Mm.
My mom said that to me. She said, Davey, I deserve the right to be better today than I was before. A better mom. And I thought, that's so true. And that's where I got that from, better today than yesterday. And so I feel like at the highest level, if we could just say, I'm really good, I'm a dealer, I'm rich, I have a lot of success. And if I wanted to continue to success, I owe it to my team to become a better dealer today than I was yesterday. But the manager would say, I worked hard, I'm very good, but I owe it to my team to become better today than
Yeah.
yesterday. And I'd be honest, most importantly, you owe it to yourself. There's only one way to live with satisfaction, self-approved conduct. Are you going to continue to get better or not? And so when I can have those conversations and dealers get it, they they grab it and they roll.
Very powerful.
And yeah, and if they don't, there's not a whole lot you can do.
All right, so let's kind of, as we start to wrap up, look toward the future a bit, right? So obviously, you're growing to scale your business because there's this need to,
Yeah.
for everyone to be a little bit better. What do you think when you take where dealerships are at today, that human component we talked about, and then this continual advancement happening in the way leads come in and the website and all that whole kind of full journey a customer may go through? What do you think that that kind of holds for the future of sales and automotive?
Well, I'm glad you asked about that because I think that dealerships are structured fundamentally wrong to begin with. I mean, they take the best sales manager and make him a general manager. Now he never talks to people again. He's all about facility and stuff like that.
He's
I'd
managing the
hire a
business. Yeah.
yeah, I'd hire a facilities manager, pay him a lot less, take care of all those things, and have my high level people do high level activities. But we keep grouping things the same way. And so I feel like the dealerships of the future are going to get more focused on reorging the flow, how things are done, who does what when. I think also dealerships of the future have got to embrace the fact that their consultants can't be just great face to face. They're going to have to be the whole thing. They're going to have to talk to the customer on email, on the
Yep.
phone, on text, and then finally, manufacturers are changing their pricing structure. They keep eliminating markups so they could be advertising to the market cheaper so they could fight their competition. When they do that, they remove dealer markup. But what's going to happen is Toyota just released this and other manufacturers are going to do it where the customer can book their own deal, can do everything on their own deal and paperwork can be printed simply. I believe that's coming and that's the wave of the future, that a
Mm.
consultant will need to be able to guide buyers through this process online where
Yep.
they could do everything online. Of course, they can visit the store. Of course, they should drive the car. Of course, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
However, the process needs to be more simplified so we don't have this running back and forth and all these people, all the exchanges that happen in a typical dealership that wear out the customer and quite frankly, create turnover. It destroys customer satisfaction and mostly it destroys salespeople. They feel bad. And so I believe that we're going to have to develop more hybrid processes. But I knew that buyers feared buying the wrong car. They want to talk to somebody they could trust, that they have confidence in. Follow me. I don't know where I'm going. That's the typical salesperson.
Yep.
A trained salesperson says, rock and roll. I could totally help you with that. I've got you. I do this every day. I'm a professional. This is going to be fun and simple and comfortable for you. Follow me. That's what a trained pro does. That's the future. So it's more like a customer service role and it's got the sales things because you still have to overcome the fear of buying the wrong car.
Yeah.
There's more competition than ever, and you have to be able to overcome that fear. The salesperson of the future has got to be able to do the whole thing from the email communication
Oh,
all the way to the delivery. That's what I believe is happening. We'll be ready.
yeah.
Automotive sales coach. We keep updating everything we do to stay with the market. So
That's
it's not
true.
just the principles, it's the latest techniques. So while a lot of training is blockbuster,
Mhm.
the principles right. People want movies and they want them now, so let's put a store in the neighborhood.
Yep.
The principles are right, but the store in the neighborhood is the technique. Principles aren't wrong, but the technique is.
Yes.
Netflix says, yeah, you want movies and you want them now, let's put them in your house, not in the neighborhood. And the blockbuster goes away. And I feel like that's what dealers need to do. We need to
Mhm.
keep the principles that drive sales excellence and constantly update that technique. We need to come to Netflix of sales.
Love that. Well,
Yeah.
I think that is a perfect spot to wrap up.
Okay.
David, thank you so much for all of your insights, your
You're
take
welcome.
on leadership, your take on the technology and how that enables the sales process. I so appreciate you sharing your expertise
Yeah,
today.
you're welcome. It's good to be with you.
So, if people want to connect with you, need support, need that sales training, where is the best place they can find you and your coaching resources?
Oh, they simply go to automotivesalescoach.com. And right at automotivesalescoach.com, they can book an appointment with one of our team members to learn about what we can do and how. And if they want to talk to me directly, they could put that in a message and we'll see if we can't manage that time out. But automotivesalescoach.com, we'll get them in and definitely love to hear from them. We have the ability to scale 100 times where we're at now. We've been working hard at doing that, and that's
Like
why
it.
we're investing in that. So
Very exciting. Well, that's all for this episode. Thank you everyone for watching.
thank you.